We are at S&H's brand new location here in Branson, Missouri, and 65 Highway is just over that tree line. Fall is creeping in, and it's the perfect time to start talking about the maintenance needed when it comes to landscaping and commercial mowing. Let's go see Scott. So Scott, we are in the showroom in your Branson store, and as I look around and outside, things look a little different. There's no big tractors or farm implements. Tell me about your demographic here in the Branson market.
So this store is a little different, obviously, as you noticed, than our other 4 locations in that we don't handle the hay equipment or forage or row crop equipment. So we still have a variety of tractors from about 70 horsepower on down. But we just don't carry the hay handling tools, some of the larger equipment that our other 4 locations have. From there, we go into our line of utility vehicles, commercial mowing equipment. We carry the Cub Cadet residential equipment as well as Spartan and some Skag mowers also.
Well, you know, fall is knocking at our door, and we typically think of planning our landscaping and those commercial mowing jobs in the spring, but we still need to be thinking about it fall. So today we're going to talk about some of your customers and how they're prepping for the fall and their relationship with you once the equipment has been purchased.
Right.
So who are we going to chat with today? What are we going to talk about?
So this morning we'll talk with Blaine Gunter, who's the owner-manager of Premier Landscapes here in Branson. They do landscape, they do commercial mowing as well. We work with them on the commercial mowing side, so we service a lot of their equipment, buy a lot of their parts here.
Well, let's go meet Blaine.
Sure. Introduce you to Blaine with Premier Landscapes.
Hi Jamie, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Blaine. Thanks for having us out.
Absolutely.
So where are we?
We're at a job we recently completed here in Branson Hills.
Let's go take a look.
Absolutely.
So you have a strong relationship with your customers.
Absolutely.
And planning sites like this start probably years or months in advance. So how do you plan sites like this? How do you work with your customers? But how at home can I start etching out a plan for landscaping?
Okay, well, it's always dependent upon the customer. It's dependent upon the budget. You know, this is more of an elaborate project. This isn't necessarily the typical project that a customer would have done. But, you know, if a customer was more prone to a smaller budget or wanted to do something themselves, then we don't shy away from having customers give us a call. We're not going to turn anyone away. Sometimes we may refer them elsewhere, but oftentimes we're just there to give advice.
So we are entering into fall. Do I need to plan? I mean, water can't run all winter. So how do I prep my yard, my landscaping for the winter?
Well, the things to think about in the fall, it's always dependent upon the landscape. But for everyone's landscape is, for instance, the grass. The grass doesn't get as much nutrients during the winter time. So we put down a winterizer fertilizer going into the winter, usually early November. And what that does is it gives the grass the nutrients it needs to withstand cold temperatures and withstand the freezes. And another thing to think about is shrubbery. There's certain shrubs that you don't trim throughout the year because they're flowering. There's other shrubs that are more ornamental that need to be trimmed throughout the year. But most shrubs and trees are things that we'll trim throughout the year or wait until the end of the year to give them the shape and the size that they need to. Basically, they'll be that size throughout the winter time and then start that way going into spring the next year. And I'd say the last thing to think about would be leaves and irrigation. Leaves and organic material in excess is bad for the grass. And then the last thing to think about, I'd say, would be the irrigation system. Not everyone has an irrigation system, but when you do have an irrigation system, we've got so much rock here in the Ozarks that we're not able to put our pipes as low as maybe you could in you know, up north somewhere. So if the pipe is less than 12 inches underground, then it makes it susceptible to freezing. So we will blow out those irrigation systems and basically winterize them and get them ready for wintertime.
So I know probably the best tool you have are your hands and your brain when you're putting all this together, but there's other tools in your toolbox that you're utilizing, and an important thing is your relationship with that dealer where you're getting those tools. Tell me about that.
Well, our primary dealer is S&H Farm Supply here in Branson, and that's where we get all of our mowers, our weed eaters, our backpack blowers. Not only do they help us out with getting the equipment, but they're there When things break down or we need parts or accessories, they're there for that as well.
So we've learned a lot about landscaping from Blaine. Where's our next stop?
Well, I thought next we would head to Branson Hills Golf Course and maybe talk with Lucas, the course supervisor there, about mowing and grasses and things like that.
Okay, let's head over there. Coming up,
Depending on weather, we could be mowing into November. And we mow at about a 3-inch height of cut. I think 3 to 4 is about the average height for, ideally for fescue, especially on a home lawn.
so there has got to be a lot of planning that goes into making sure the grass on a golf course is immaculate all the time. So when does that planning begin?
The planning, we're really dormant and grass isn't growing in the wintertime. So I do a lot of planning then. All the fertilizer, spraying goes into an agronomic plan for the whole year.
And the variety of grasses on a golf course, what are we looking at?
There is a lot of different varieties on a golf course. What we have here is bent grass greens. We have zoysia grass tees and fairways. And then our rough is primarily fescue grass.
So what about mowing? You know, of course, weather, depending upon how much rain we get, depends upon how much you'll be mowing. But whether it's on a golf course or on your own property, when does the mowing really end, and how should we extend that to prepare and treat the grass the way it needs to be treated so it's there for us in the summer?
In the zoysia should stop sometime in beginning October, but primarily the fescue. Depending on weather, we could be mowing into November. And we mow at about a 3-inch height of cut. I think 3 to 4 is about the average height for, ideally for fescue, especially on a home lawn. 4 inches is 3.5 to 4.
I see a lot of people mowing really tight because they maybe don't want to mow as often. Is that wise?
You actually don't want to cut more than like an inch of your turf off at one time. So cut the turf as needed. You know, if it's growing faster in the spring, you have to cut it more often. If it's in the summertime and it's not growing as much, then you don't need to cut it as often. In the fall, we start getting weather, it needs cut. We cut once a week, at least, if not more, on the fescue. So I think with nice weather, once a week, make sure you're not cutting more than let's say a third of the leaf blade off.
So, of course, the mowers are your biggest tool, but other tools in your toolbox are, you know, leaf blowers, trimmers, and then all the utensils needed to maintain those. How does that work, and who are you utilizing as a dealer?
S&H Farm Supply helps us out with the blowers. We can go in there and they got it on the shelf ready to go. I like it because I can drive there in like 7-8 minutes and be back and keep going. You know, keeping the guys going is a big part of what we do. And,
yeah, you can't take time out of a busy day to get something fixed or drive an hour to a dealer. Local is important?
Yeah, local is real important. If we run out of string, well, I know in 15 minutes I can be back and then keep the guys going, you know. So
and keep the golfers on the golf course.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a big deal.
So today we've talked a lot about landscaping and mowing, residential and commercial. We're in your shop.
Right.
See one of your small tractors, a residential mower, commercial mower, all behind us. What's interesting is the relationship from the sales floor to here is pretty strong and continues after the implements are purchased.
Right.
Tell me about that and the importance of S&H.
So as important as sales are, obviously you have to sell equipment to stay in business. You also have to support it, and that's equally or if not more important. So we spend a lot of time and energy focusing on our service departments with training, with customer relations training, try and have people that are specialized in it, whether it be ag or commercial equipment or residential equipment. We want to have our employees able to take care of our customers the very best possible way.
So how does that relationship work? Are they on regular schedules to come in and have their equipment maintained, or is it just when something breaks down?
So really the answer to that question is both. Obviously we take care of customers when they have an issue, a belt breaks, mower doesn't start, whatever that may be. But we also have a scheduled maintenance plan that we offer to our customers every winter from about November through February. So we'll reach out to them through various platforms, social media, email, some written, regular mail, and let them know that we have a winter fix special that we do. And we try to maintain a lot of equipment in our off season because that's a slow time for us, and obviously the customer's not using the equipment, so it works out well.
So the timing is right now. You
Right.
just start thinking about maintenance this time of the year.
Yeah, it really is.